Yeah. Hello. Thanks for joining me. Are people here? I think there's some people here. Oh, look at that. A few anyway. Thanks for checking in. It's Friday. It's Kevin. It's live from lockdown. Happy to be here once again. Number 45. Welcome to Live from Lockdown, number 45. You can believe it. Coming to you yet again from my somewhat nomadic lockdown studio here in the village of Leith on the north side of Edinburgh, or as Roscoe Galloway corrected me last week, in the heart of Edinburgh. Anyway, beautiful place, a marvelous city, a beautiful country with a rich history. Many people over many millennia have lived here, have crossed these lands, and I'd like to honor the many people who have gone before me. Celts and Picts and Scots and invading Romans and invading English that, as many of my Scottish friends like to point out, seem not to have left. But I'd like to honor the many people who have gone before me and to thank the many people who have extended a very warm hospitality to me in the time that I've been here. I'm a lucky man to be here in this place, and thanks for that. Off the top today, that was a tune called Travelin' Light. First recorded by the Paul Whiteman Orchestra in 1942. It was written by a couple of people. Trummy Young was one of the composers, played trombone in the Paul Whiteman Orchestra, and he showed up to the recording session, both with a new chart for this tune they were going to record, and with his girlfriend at the time, who was Billie Holiday. And Johnny Mercer was one of the new owners of the record label they were recording under, noticed that Billie was in the house, and quickly penned a lyric to the track so that Billie Holiday could sing it, and that became the first recording. She recorded that under the name Lady Day, which at that point was not associated with her because she was under contract to another record label. But how's that for a story of recordings from days gone by? That, as you might not be surprised, is a request from my good friend Sam Broverman, who's a big Johnny Mercer fan, and in fact he recorded that tune on an album of his called Dream Maker Heartbreaker. Sam Broverman sings Johnny Mercer. So check that out. It's not on Bandcamp, although Sam does have some stuff on Bandcamp. It is available on iTunes, and it's a beautiful record. He does that, well, better than me, but with that kind of country flavor, as that tune suggests. So, Travelin' Light. Thank you, Sam, for sending that. My good friend Sam, who's a regular listener and supporter and requester, sent a couple of requests this week, and I'm going to start the show with both of them. That being one, and the other being a beautiful tune by Hoagy Carmichael that I'm going to play as soon as I check and make sure I'm not getting any bad. It's such a bad time last week with bad sound, but no emergency messages. And why aren't those showing up? You also may notice, if you watch regularly, that I've got a bit of a new setup. I changed my studio around a little bit, and I saw some more comments that I don't see here now, and I don't understand why not. But I'm going to trust that people are there and this is working. Let's hope it is. I can get rid of that one. Yeah, Hoagy Carmichael wrote a beautiful tune called Two Sleepy People. Frank Lesser wrote the lyric. It's a beautiful song. It's kind of tricky, so I'm going to read it. And as I say, Sam also requested this. Sam also sings it. Sam sings it in the original key, as does my very good friend David Wall, which is E flat major, the key, not David Wall. Sam, if you're singing along, I hope you've got a sleepy voice. I brought it down a semitone to D because it's a busy melody and it was just a bit of a hassle to get working on E flat. So I'm going to do it in D major, in case you're playing along. Here's Hoagie Carmichael's Two Sleepy People. Seems kind of funny. Okay. Two sleepy people. It's Friday night. Maybe that's you. My computer's doing some disconcerting things, so I'm just going to check in over here. Man, I hope this is working. Oh, here we are. Ah, okay. Looks like people are there. Uh-oh. Is there a video problem? I don't know, folks. I see some cut out, but it seems okay now. Okay. Okay, are we here? I hope we're here. Am I getting any emergency messages? Looks like we're okay. Whew. Oh, man, the technology. It just never seems to cease being problematic. Cheers. Apologies for the trouble, folks. I don't know. I keep trying. Thanks for listening once again. That was Two Sleepy People. Thanks to Sam Broverman for 2 great requests. Fun to work on those tunes. I will say, like I always do, that if you have an income and you're able to support live music, that's certainly appreciated, and I'd be happy for your support. Many people trying to survive as musicians in this seemingly endless pandemic would appreciate your support. So if you want to support somebody else this week, that's okay too. I've got a lot of lovely people who have been very generous to me for a bunch of time. As I say, this is the 45th time that I've done this. If you have a look at the notes on the side of the page on the broadcast here, if you're watching on Facebook, you'll see links to my PayPal account and my Ko-Fi account, and my email address is along the bottom. If you're in Canada, you can send me an e-transfer. If you want to send me money you can't figure out, give me a call or send me an e-transfer with these numbers down here. I'd be happy to do that to help you out. And thanks again to all you fabulous people. I'm going to play a tune that I have played before because I've got to repeat a few each week to keep myself rolling. This is my very favorite bossa nova, my very favorite composition by Tom Jobim, Antonio Carlos Jobim. And I have played it, I think, twice over the 45 lockdown sessions, but it's been a while. This is a beautiful tune in the key of D minor, in case you're playing along. This is called How Insensitive. Sensitive. I'm going to take another moment and look over here because Linda Partington says you can hear a small box in the corner. Well, there's a small box that's an amp that's kind of noisy that's just out of the way, but I don't know. Can you see that? I'm kind of hoping you can. Maybe you can. On that note, my sister told me that there was kind of a high-pitched whining sound last couple of weeks. She was noticing, particularly when she watches on YouTube. I've reconfigured a bunch of things in the studio. I haven't sorted out my power supply issue, but I did find a noise source. I'm hoping the sound's a little better. Let me know what you think. Honestly, folks, I still work on this every week, trying to make this better, make this work better. It's challenging playing all these instruments and having all these inputs, but we'll try to keep it rolling. So thank you. Thanks for listening. Again, How Insensitive by Tom Jobim. I'll remind you, I mentioned earlier Sam Broverman's recordings on iTunes and on Bandcamp. A bunch of my records on Bandcamp. I'm not playing anything from either of these recordings this week, but I have over the last couple of weeks. My album Share the Wealth that a few of you bought on Bandcamp Friday a couple of weeks ago. Next Friday, I mean, don't hesitate. If you're looking for a recording, please dial me up on Bandcamp. The link's on the side of the page. But next Friday is the first Friday of March, and yet again, Bandcamp Friday, when they waive the revenue share. So another great time to support your favorite musicians and buy some recordings from Bandcamp. I should also tell you, I just saw Roscoe Galloway. Hello, Roscoe Galloway. Thanks for checking in. Roscoe is the host of one of the very most fabulous and longest-running series of live stream performances called Ruby Tuesday Live Sessions. Used to be a live gig here in Edinburgh when you could do live gigs. Roscoe's been hosting online sessions. I think he got rolling before I did. At the top of the pandemic. And I'm very excited that I'm going to be doing one with my very favorite singer, Susanna McDonald, this coming Tuesday. So again, in the notes on the side of the page, you can see Roscoe's link. He's online all the time. And you can see a link to the Ruby Tuesday live sessions. Tune in there next Tuesday. We're going to do a set at 8:15 local time, which makes it 3:15 in the afternoon if you're in Toronto or Montreal or New York. And it'll make it, noon 15, right lunchtime in Vancouver. If you're on the West Coast, if you're in Los Angeles, you're taking a lunch break, catch Susanna and me. I'm really looking forward to that. We'll be right here in my lab from Lockdown Studio doing a Ruby Tuesday session. So I hope you can catch that. Again, that link's on the side of the page. More music. Let me check my tuning. You may be excited to know, you probably won't be excited as me, but I found a good online source for guitar strings, because the kind of strings I like are hard to find in the UK, I've discovered, but I found a distributor who will send them to me locally, and I got a new set, and sometime over the weekend I'm going to put new strings on this guitar, and maybe it'll sound even better next week. Let's hope. A couple of weeks ago, I noted the surprising and untimely death of Chick Corea, certainly one of the most important pianists and composers of the modern age. A really, really brilliant, hugely influential musician. A lot of the jazz community in particular was really saddened by his death. He wasn't a young man. He was in his 80th year, but seemingly in good health. He'd been doing a bunch of live streams. I've watched him live a few times over the last year, doing amazing work in his studio. We lost him to all I heard was a strange, a rare form of cancer that seemed to take him very quickly. It was quite sad. And I didn't have time that week to work a tribute out, and I mused that I might do a tune of his called La Fiesta that I played often in my youth and haven't played since. And I thought about that, but I decided to do another tune, perhaps his best known composition. I'm going to play a tune of his called Spain, which is quite a beautiful piece. It's pretty challenging, and when I work on pieces of music that I don't know, I often consult a few sources. I look up some published bits of music and I check some recordings. I found a really good chart for this tune, and it had a tempo marking, and I was sure it was a misprint. It was so fast. So I went and checked the original recording, and sure enough, it's that fast. And if you know this tune, I'm not going to play it as fast as Chick Corea because I can't. It's as simple as that. I'll cut myself a bit of slack because because I am by myself. I'm going to loop a little bit in the middle, but really I'm going to try to do this on my own. But it's a pretty tricky piece. Anyway, it's called Spain. There's a bit of a breakdown in the middle. If you know it, you can clap along. Boop. And it goes like this. You can do that if you like, you know, who knows. Hope I play it right when I get there. Here we go. Spain. That's Spain by Chick Corea, or my attempt thereof. If you know that tune well, you know there were a couple of mistakes in there in form and melody, but there you go. A tribute to an amazing musician who's had a huge influence on me. His album Three Quartets kind of changed the way jazz sounded to me in particular. Brilliant recording. There's a great loss, another loss. I don't believe that it was a COVID-related death, but a sad one nonetheless. Sorry to see Chick go. Thanks for sticking with me. Yeah, Fingers Farrell. Return to Forever was one of his projects, amongst many other things. Spain was on an album called Light as a Feather, which, in the jazz world, people refer to things as being heavy when they're good. And that album was heavy. That album was not light, but it was certainly beautiful. If you're a person that types yippers in the comments, now's the time. I'm going to play some mandolin again. If you're a regular listener, you know I struggle through every week. I force myself to learn a new tune on the mandolin every week. And now's the time. I'm going to do a tune yet again from Stuart Seidel and his big vault of tunes that he sent me. I still have not worked through all of those. Thank you, Stuart, for keeping me working, keeping my study habits up to speed with the mandolin charts. This is a tune called Beaumont Rag, which apparently is named after the town of Beaumont, Texas. So I'd like in particular to send it out to the people of Texas who are having a pretty rough time experiencing what climate change can mean when all of a sudden the climate does things it's not supposed to. I hear people whose heating bills have gone into the thousands of dollars because it got freezing cold, just like it's not supposed to do in Texas. Anyway, this was first recorded in around 1929 in Texas. I'm pretty sure, unlike some of these tunes that seem to have roots in Scottish and Irish tunes, this one I'm quite sure is an originally American tune, original from Texas. The great bluegrass guitarist Doc Watson also recorded it, and he's the one who's credited from changing it from the key of F to the key of C. I'm going to play it in C. Louise Bevan, are you there? I don't know if Louise is listening, but if Louise is going to play mandolin along with me, this is in the key of C. Kind of fun. This has a feature that I noted last week, which made me think that the tune last week was Blue Eagle was also an American tune, which is the blues third. You know, you got the C chord, and you got the, nope, not that note, that note, against the major third, the minor third, the blues third, which features even more prominently in this tune. It's called the Beaumont Rag, a kind of a reference to ragtime, which was a very popular style of music in the late 19th, early 20th century. Probably best known by the compositions of Scott Joplin. But a pretty cool style of music that definitely came out of the African American community, kind of took the really square marches of John Philip Sousa and added a bunch of syncopation, offbeat rhythm, raggy rhythm, hence ragtime, and a bunch of those blues thirds, and created a whole new sound. So this is a tune that comes from that tradition, the Beaumont Rag, and I will see how I do with it. Thanks again for your patience with the mandolin. Here we go. close anyway. There you go, the Beaumont Rag with a couple of blues thirds and a bit of syncopation. Thank you very much, yippers to the mandolin. I'll keep working on that. What am I going to play next? I'm going to remind you that I'm still teaching guitar lessons online. I had a lesson with my very good friend Keith McNair this week. I think I saw Keith on there. Wasn't that fun? We went over a couple of little technique exercises and things to keep his fingers moving. If you want to take a lesson or a bunch, I'm always happy. One-offs are cool. Happy to meet up. I'm getting used to doing that by Zoom. And, you know, it doesn't take very long for me to show you everything I know, really. So feel free to contact me if you're interested in that. I also know a thing or two about music theory if you're working on that. And I'm even teaching some math lessons. Maths, as they say on this side of the Atlantic these days. So, yeah, little things I'm trying to do to make a living. In case you're interested in any of that, please hit me up. I also, I like to wish people happy birthday this week, and as I posted just as I went live, it was Kevin Quain's birthday this week. I've often spoken of Kevin Quain. I'm not going to do a tune of his this week, but I have played lots of them. I'm a huge fan of Kevin Quain, and odds are pretty good that if you tune into my Ruby Tuesday session with the fabulous Susanna McDonald next Tuesday, 8:15 UTC, 3:15 Eastern Time, noon and a quarter on the west coast of North America, you'll probably hear a Kevin Quain tune. Odds are good. Susanna and I rarely get through a set without playing a tune of Kevin's. It was his birthday on Tuesday, and a day before, well, Sunday night, I suppose. Was it Sunday night? I lose track of the time. He did a live stream, which is still available on his page. Again, if you check those links down towards the bottom of my notes, I have a list of my favorite live streams, including Roscoe, Samsonite, Stream Cycle, that's tooling up for some more cool gigs, and you can see a link to Kevin's show. It's really worth checking out. The man is a master. He's an absolutely brilliant songwriter. He's a really interesting, fun entertainer, and when I'm a lucky boy, I get to play in his band. So let me tell you, I can't wait for those moments to come again. Excuse me. Happy birthday, Kevin. Hope you had a good one. Also, a birthday of someone who's not around anymore to celebrate it, but another great musician, an absolutely brilliant guitar player that I want to recognize by the name of Justin Haynes, would have celebrated his birthday on Wednesday had he not died a couple of years ago, quite tragically and way too young, in his 40s. But Justin was a real gift to music on this planet, and I miss him a lot, as do a lot of people in Toronto and Ottawa in particular. So I want to recognize that. Happy birthday to both those guys. You know, my message of love always starts with wear a mask, stay close to home. I got two little other messages of love. No real rants this week, but I did come across a great saying. I've been speaking a lot about guaranteed income and the ways that we got to think about redistributing wealth in this society, and that a guaranteed income is a really good way to go, and that there are ways in which the Canadian government has come close, at least the Canadian government has come close to instituting a guaranteed basic income for all people. And why not? Like, wealth doesn't trickle down, it trickles up, and that's the thing we got to do. I was reading an interesting interview with a Danish businessman by the name of Jaffer Shelchi. I'm sure I'm not saying his name correctly. Jaffer Shelchi, who's a pretty interesting, very wealthy man who believes that wealthy people and wealthy corporations should pay their taxes. Ain't that a radical thought? But he said this in this interview: wealth is like manure. Spread it and it makes everything grow. Pile it up and it stinks. So I thought that was a beautiful thought in keeping with that theme of mine over these lockdown days. And as we think about building our way out of the pandemic, let's think about spreading the wealth around. Share the Wealth, as somebody named an album many years ago. I've also been thinking a lot this week, more about what I talked about last week, about the fact that I was hoping to go home to Canada to play some work and decided to stay where I am and not travel internationally at this point. You know, many of us are forced to stay where we are, and I'm not complaining. I'm in a great place. I'm really lucky to be amongst friends in this city and with people that I love and that love me. And, you know, thanks to the technology that we got, able to stay in touch with people even who are far away, but that love me and that I love. And I'm really, really thankful for that. And I really, my message of love for all of you this week is that I hope you find yourself in that situation. I'm going to play a song that kind of celebrates that. Think about where we lay our hearts and where we decide to be, and the things, and to celebrate the things that we cherish. With this next tune, it's a beautiful song by a Scottish singer-songwriter, but with a really interesting Canadian connection. And it was inspired by viewing of the Northern Lights. Now, I have seen some spectacular shows of the Northern Lights in various places in Canada, including a number of places that are actually farther south than where we are here in Edinburgh. But it's interesting to me that it don't seem to be as visible here in Scotland. A lot of Scottish people I know have not seen the Northern Lights, which surprised me. And I don't know what it is about the astronomy or the physics or what that is about the Northern Lights. You don't see them here. But a wonderful singer-songwriter by the name of Rachel Sermani, who grew up in the Highlands of Scotland, but had never seen the Northern Lights and was on tour in Canada a number of years ago, played one of the great festivals in the north of Canada, and describes the experience of having a great viewing of the Northern Lights. And really, it really touched her. I mean, if you have seen the Northern Lights, you can't not be touched. It's one of the most beautiful things you'll ever see. And she wrote this beautiful tune that I'm going to try to play for you after seeing the Northern Lights, as a way of celebrating all those beautiful things, those things that we cherish. And this is called Lay My Heart. Build a fire, watch it burn. This is what I yearn for. This is what I lay my heart. This is where I lay my heart. This is where I lay my heart. This is where I lay my heart. people gathering, pass around the whiskey. This is where I lay my heart. 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 Laying upon a darkened lawn, silent borealis. Laying upon a darkened lawn, silent borealis. This is where I lay my heart. 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 This is where I Rachel Sormani, Lay My Heart. That tune featured quite prominently in a number of performances in the Celtic Connections Festival that happened a few weeks ago in Glasgow, and I know a couple of friends of mine here in Scotland watched a lot of that and are probably sick of that song. And to those of you who are sick of that song, I'm sorry, but in spite of that perhaps less than perfect performance, it's a beautiful song. So thank you. I'm going to do one more. I'm going to start with this guitar again. I put it down, but I'm going to need it. I'm going to loop out as I usually do. I usually play a tune from the 70s or 80s, and I'm going to do that again. Although I'm not going to play a pop tune from the 70s or 80s this time. I hope my sister Bronwyn will forgive me. I'll play a tune by Miles Davis. This is a tune from Miles's 1983 album called Star People. I was lucky enough to see a tour, I guess after that album came out, saw Miles Davis at what fantastic performance venue that doesn't exist anymore called The Forum at a place called Ontario Place in Toronto. Magical place. And I remember seeing Miles with Daryl Jones on bass and Mike Stern on guitar. Mike's on the recording of this tune. It's pretty cool. Anyway, this is a tune by Miles Davis called You and I. And as usual, I'm going to play a few instruments and set up a loop and then jam out over it. So again, fill up your drink for the last tune if you like. I'm running a little late, but sometimes I do. Thank you very much for joining me yet again. Very best to you. This is by Miles Davis, and it's called You and I. Thanks for joining me. I miss you. I love you. I will see you soon.